Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for 17 News at Noon. I'm Nicole Gitsky. Well, following the Capitol building riot, more officials have announced they're leaving the Trump administration, including cabinet members. Now a growing chorus of lawmakers are calling on President Trump to resign or be removed from office. Peter Alexander has more.
I would like to begin.
President Trump now facing enormous pressure, doing an about-face, condemning the violence he's accused of inciting.
The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. You do not represent our country, and to those who broke the law, you will pay.
It comes more than 24 hours after the president released this video filmed as the attack was taking place.
We love you. You're very special.
And after the president addressed the massive crowd ahead of the Capitol attack.
And after this, we're going to walk down and I'll be there with you.
In the short video produced by the White House, President Trump gets as close as he's come to a concession.
A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power.
But the president's critics do not want to wait, with calls growing for President Trump to be removed from office immediately.
We are in a very difficult place in our country as long as Donald Trump still sits in the White House.
More than 200 Democratic lawmakers and one Republican calling for impeachment or the president's removal through the 25th Amendment that would require the support of the vice president and at least 8 members of the president's cabinet. The Wall Street Journal's editorial board overnight urging President Trump to resign to avoid impeachment. Republican Senator Ted Cruz, who's faced blame for amplifying the outrage and objecting to President-elect Biden's legitimate win, offering this rare criticism of President Trump.
I do think the president's rhetoric and his language has been over the line. I think it was irresponsible. I think it was reckless.
Biden slamming Wednesday's attack, emphasizing the differing response by authorities now compared to last summer's demonstrations against racial injustice.
No one can tell me that if had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, they would have been treated very, very differently.
Former Attorney General Bill Barr blasting the president's conduct as a betrayal of his office and supporters.
Now this comes as President Donald Trump says he will not be attending the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. He made the announcement this morning on his Twitter page, writing, quote, "To all of those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. Trump is not the first outgoing president to not attend the inauguration of his successor. According to the White House Historical Association, Presidents John Quincy Adams, and Andrew Johnson did not attend the inauguration of the incoming president. NBC News is reporting that Vice President Mike Pence will likely attend Biden's inauguration if invited. And Congressman Kevin McCarthy issuing a statement over what happened Wednesday at Capitol Hill. It says in part, quote, "Let me be very clear. The violence, destruction, and chaos that unfolded at the Capitol on Wednesday was unacceptable, undemocratic, and un-American." He goes on, "Our country is not just divided. We are deeply hurt. The task ahead for the next Congress and incoming Biden administration couldn't be more momentous. But to deliver a better America for all, partisans of all stripes first must unite as Americans and show our country that a peaceful transition of power has occurred. Impeaching the president with just 12 days left in his term will only divide our country more." And that's the latest on the coronavirus pandemic here at home. Alarming new numbers show our local hospitals are quickly filling up. State data shows 453 people in Kern are in the hospital with coronavirus. 103 are in the ICU. Both are records. And Kern Public Health reported 1,941 new cases of COVID-19 and 16 new deaths. That means over 74,000 Kern County residents have caught the virus since March. That's 1 of every 12 people. Over 39,000 people are isolating at home while they recover. To date, 539 people in Kern County have lost their lives due to COVID-19. And this comes as the U.S. continues to break records on the coronavirus front about 10 months into the pandemic. More than 4,000 coronavirus-related deaths were recorded in the United States yesterday. Nearly 600 of those were from California. According to NBC News Tally, there were 4,110 people who died from coronavirus complications. Meantime, more than 268,000 new cases were confirmed for the day. That marks a new all-time daily record for both cases and deaths for the second day in a row. Just this week, over 1.6 million new cases and over 19,000 deaths have been reported. And 8 million stimulus payments are coming as prepaid debit cards. The U.S. Treasury Department says it started sending out cards to about 8 million Americans this week. The department also says if you didn't get a card the first time, you might now. The card will come in a marked envelope. Look for the U.S. Treasury Department seal. Like the first round, the payments will be sent on Visa debit cards and will also have the issuing bank name MetaBank NA on the back of the card. Instructions on secure activation and use will be included in that envelope, according to the Treasury. Now, you can use the debit card like any other. And a new study is showing the impact of COVID-19 transmission from people without any symptoms. CDC researchers created a model that assessed the amount of transmission from pre-symptomatic, asymptomatic, and symptomatic individuals. They estimated that 59% of all transmission comes from people without symptoms. That includes 35% of people who were pre-symptomatic and nearly 25% who never developed symptoms. Well, doctors say we're facing the most severe surge of the pandemic so far, but incoming vaccines offer a light at the end of this long tunnel. Health officials created a tiered system to decide who gets the vaccine first. Officials say most frontline healthcare workers and residents in long-term care facilities have gotten their COVID-19 shots, knocking out the first phase. Tier 2 started Wednesday. It included workers in primary healthcare clinics, correctional facilities, urgent cares, and also public health field staff health officials. Now, health officials say that the third tier includes lab workers and dental clinics. That could come within the next week. After that comes vaccinations for those 75 and older, as well as essential workers like teachers and agricultural industry. The final step of the plan before vaccines become available to the general public covers people 50 and older, plus anyone with over the age of 16 with underlying conditions. As of now, it's still too early to say when vaccines will be available to anyone who wants one. And many are going through stressful times right now, and if the pandemic is dragging you down, there's someone you can call. The task force set up a mental health hotline at 525-5900. There you can speak with experts who can provide helpful information and resources. It's available in both English and Spanish, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The task force says if you call on the weekends, you can leave a message and an operator will return your call when they return back. And the Latino COVID-19 Task Force is offering free tests throughout the week. No registration is required and walk-ups are welcome. They'll also be handing out free face masks courtesy of Adventist Health Bakersfield. Now taking a look in your crime watch, one person is injured after being shot in East Bakersfield. Kern County Sheriff's Office responded to a call of a shooting just after 3 a.m. on Security Avenue. Information is limited at this time, but the victim is described as being in stable condition. There is no information on the shooter at this time as well. And 2 men are behind bars, possibly in connection to a shooting in Ventura County. Bakersfield police, along with a SWAT team, responded to a home on Vineland Road and Panorama Drive. According to BPD, the 2 suspects were taken into custody. At this time, information is limited. Officers could not provide information on the extent of that shooting, the suspects, or why they are in Bakersfield. We are working to get more information. And the California City Council met yesterday to approve an additional $25,000 reward in the search for 2 boys reported missing more than 2 weeks ago. 3-year-old Oren and 4-year-old Orson West were reported missing December 21st, 18 days ago. Businesses have offered rewards totaling $25,000 to anyone who can find the boys. The City Council yesterday approved the proposal to match that reward with city reserve funds, but that information must lead to an arrest and conviction. Another search is planned this Saturday in Bakersfield near the intersection of Cottonwood Road and Casa Loma Drive. The search party will be out all day starting at 10 a.m. Anyone with information on the missing boys can call the California City Police Department at 760-373-8606. And you can remain anonymous by calling the Secret Witness hotline at 322-4040. All right, welcome back. Today, the weather is much different from this morning. Let's send things back over to Kevin.
Yeah, there was definitely chill in the air this morning, and we had the fog around, but that is lifting, and it's just beautiful outside. I'm looking out my window, just even a light breeze, and that's the way we'll be throughout the afternoon. We've got the clear skies, 54 degrees out of Meadows Field, a west-northwest wind at 6. Visibility at 3 miles, so still a little bit of fog in some areas. We've got 57 on the board for Sacramento today, 58 in Fresno, near 70 for LA and San Diego. If you're headed east into Vegas, lower 60s, 68 and continuing to clear along Pismo Beach, a north wind 10 to 20 with a high surf advisory in place. Air quality unhealthy for sensitive groups. Your AQI today will be at 105, and here's a look at the overall forecast. We'll continue to see clearing skies. 60 in Bakersfield, 58 in Delano, 61 out in Buttonwillow. For the mountains and the Kern River Valley, clearing skies will continue, looking great up that way. 58 in Frazier Park, 56 in Tehachapi with 60s into the Kern River Valley. And then for the desert, we'll look for 63 in Mojave, Ridgecrest at 64. Your extended forecast tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds, 58 degrees, mostly sunny on Sunday and 61. Next week, partly cloudy, but you'll see the temperatures are going to be on the climb. And by Thursday, we'll be right near 68. Into the mountains, we'll look for 50s over the weekend with mostly sunny conditions, and then partly cloudy Tuesday, Wednesday. And by next Thursday, 64 in the mountains. And then for the Kern River Valley, some nice weather throughout the next 7 days. Again, a mix of sun and clouds. And then by next Thursday, we're actually going to be looking at temperatures to rise near 72 degrees. So a very quiet forecast as we continue on here in the month of January. This time of year, we should be right around 1/4 of an inch of rain already, and unfortunately, that is a deficit we need to recover. That's your forecast. Have a great weekend. We'll send it back over to you.
All right, thanks so much for that, Kevin. Now, the M Street Navigation Center is halting intakes due to the coronavirus surge. The facility, which helps our local homeless population get back on their feet, says they are still serving around 60 residents, but severely limiting traffic, only allowing those with work responsibilities or essential medical appointments to enter or leave the building. The facility says the decision was made after it learned that 5 of its residents are infected with the virus. They've been placed in quarantine. And good news for our local veteran community. The city of Bakersfield is getting a new VA clinic. Last night, the Planning Commission gave the green light to construction of the project, and it is going to be nearly 40,000 square feet of a medical outpatient facility that is set to be built in Northwest Bakersfield. The property will be at 5512 Knudsen Drive, and it's about 9 acres.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to KGET.com.